The next time you have a meeting amongst the people who are advocating this proposal, as an experiment in reality, try it with 3-minute time limits on what you can say. Since you had your last convocation, a great deal has happened on this particular issue. Though I have to commend this gentleman for what he said. When you make a decision, you look at pros and you look at cons. Shall I order the salmon or the tuna? Do I want to buy a 1-story or a 2-story house? Do I want to decentralize and avoid monopoly on water management, or do I want to centralize and monopolize the water management? His point, and I absolutely want to commend him for making it, if you want transparency, come up with a list of worst-case planning drawbacks to this proposal and make it as apparent as the advocacy efforts that we have witnessed to date. However, there's one thing that is certain and was missing from your charts of time flow, and that is this. This will be on the ballot for the voters to either approve or reject. Now, your role in that can be either to attempt to lead that process or be led by the process. Those are your choices. But it is going to be on the ballot for the voters to either accept or reject. And in addition to that, an alternative looks like it will be on the ballot as well, meaning to decentralize the monopoly, to strip the Valencia and Santa Clarita water companies into public agencies. There is coordination and cooperation among the water providers in Santa Clarita on multiple levels, public and private. And they should be strengthened, but they should not supplant the autonomy and responsiveness to the public that is available from publicly elected, Brown Act governed water agencies. Noticeably absent from the combination proposal is any mention of the Los Angeles County Waterworks District number 36. They have a seat on the Castaic Water Agency Board. They are invested with legal authority, but they are absent from the concept thus far. I don't know why that is. I can offer conjecture that the County of Los Angeles is not going to give up their authority over one of their many water districts. When the closed sessions were underway to discuss how to settle lawsuits, frankly, since both parties in the lawsuit were in the room discussing the lawsuit private closed sessions are designed to shield damage to one of the parties. But when you have both parties in the room talking about settlement conditions, the only people being excluded are the bosses, the customers, the public.
Thank you for your comments. Nanette?
Well, I'm not quite finished. Thank you.
I don't think we can do that, no. We need you to wrap up your comments, though, Mr. Cameron.
I just have a comment. I'd like to thank you for moving the time of your workshop from 5 o'clock, which does not work for anybody who works for someone else, to a 6:30 time. However, you've invented a wheel that did not need to be reconstituted. There is this inoperative, state-of-the-art video system above you there, which could have been fired up and used, as I have done personally about 50 times in the last 25 years. And I suggest that if you come back, that you just use that, because the end product would be superior. I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to respect.
Thank you for your comments. Nanette Meester?
I am a Newhall County water customer, and I have been for 16 years. And I oppose this. And my basic objection is finances. Newhall County has been very innovative in their water distribution to us as in the retailer. They're fiscally responsible. We elect their board. We know the people. We talk to them. They're our neighbors. Castaic Lake Water Agency is an agency that is not fiscally responsible. They go against the law and just figure that they can just pay their way out of it with attorneys and lobbyists. and I don't want to be a part of that. Hopefully, the customers that I know in my area will stop this, and I'm going to do the best I can to prevent this merger, because it's wrong, and it's got to be stopped. And it would be better to stop it before you spend a lot of time and money, because who's paying all these salaries? Castaic Lake can't afford you. I really can't. Thank you.
I was a director on the Newhall County Water District Board about 11 years ago, or 10 years ago, somewhere in there. Anyway, at that time, we were surprised that LAFCO came along, and I think it was because of one of the directors that was at Castaic Lake Water Agency, but they were going to try and dissolve this company, this little water company. Imagine that. That's what LAFCO was coming to do. And I went to one of the meetings at Castaic Lake Water Agency, and they said, oh, Mr. Peterson, I believe, was there at the time, and they said, oh, we're looking at this. And I thought, well, our board doesn't know anything about this. This is very interesting, and I made comments at that time. So there was underhanded stuff going on over 11 years and 12 years ago. But the one thing I wanted to say, the CLWA charged the water retail companies, they control an increase of 18% for it was, actually an increase for the state wholesale water. NCWD was charged 82% increase for that same water. When NCWD was bullied, the accepted process for redress is our legal system. NCWD sued CLWA and won this case. CLWA controls 2 water companies now. NCWD is a separate public water company and was able to right a wrong. If NCWD was under the yoke of CLWA, no lawsuit would have been possible. After all, would you or should you sue your mother?
Well, I too am a member of the Board of Directors of Newhall County Water District, and I can attest to the fact that we have been doing this in closed session for a long time, as was admitted on the public notice of the last meeting. So now that it's public information, it's not a problem to say. So you should know, Mr. Novak, that this was just sort of put on the public without good discussion. The public this didn't come from the grassroots. It's an effort by board members to do whatever. My personal belief of what's going on here is that, as you know, Castaic Lake Water Agency has illegally acquired Valencia Water Company. I don't know if you've ever read the purchase agreement for that illegal acquisition, but it promised a lot of water to Newhall's new developments on the west side, 30,000 units of new development on the west side. It promises all the recycled water in the valley that they need. And of course, now, lo and behold, we have a notice of preparation for a recycled water plan. None of it's going to the Newhall County Water District area or out on the in the east end where the water wells are dry. So is this a pressure tactic? Not sharing fairly in the valley the recycled water? Is this a pressure tactic to get rid of that lawsuit that is now perhaps stressing Lennar Corporation? And since it was illegal, it's now costing CLWA a lot of money, and it's money that they should not have spent in the first place. They didn't have a right to buy that company. There was legislation passed after they did this with Santa Clarita Water Company that said they couldn't serve outside the area of Santa Clarita. Valencia is completely outside the area of Santa Clarita. They knew this when they bought it. So now we look at, now maybe they're going to absorb us too. But I would like to say that this has never been on Newhall County Water District agenda. It's never been on Castaic Lake Water Agency agenda. So I consider that a Brown Act. The only way the public knew about the contract was it was on a CLWA agenda, sort of obtusely way down at the end as a 5B or something. None of the finances of any of this is public. We have a pretty big expense at this meeting tonight. We have all of us getting our meeting stipends, 15 board members here. We have several staff people from both water agencies. We have several attorneys at $300 plus an hour. Huge public expense. No one has asked for that. We haven't asked to spend that. We're paying for a facilitator. The only way I knew about the facilitator, that's the contract I was talking about, is because I read our check registers. And I had to figure out who this $10,000 here and $8,000 there was going to. So I found out that that's what we were paying our facilitator. This process has not been transparent, and I want to know where we voted to spend all this money on this process.
Thank you. Sandra?
I would like to make a very brief statement representing the Sierra Club, that the Sierra Club, the oldest, largest, most respected environmental organization, has come out against the merger, and we have submitted a letter to you. And now I would like to speak on behalf of myself, and I'd like to give you input, not just merely make comments. I hope my input is taken as input, not just some superfluous comments. The gentleman in the front, the previous speaker, who talked about how Newhall County Water is well managed and we're well represented by the current board, I felt your comments were just absolutely perfect, and I will not repeat them. However, my perspective is this is a shotgun wedding. It's the alternative would have been a takeover, probably a hostile takeover, and I'm really surprised that this is happening. I believe that the Newhall District consumers must be protected from the debt of Castaic Lake Water Agency. And then I'd also like to speak not just for myself, but for the river. There has to be some cooperation with the sanitation district, that Santa Clarita, the existing Santa Clarita water, needs to stay in Santa Clarita, and all the outfalls of gray water from the sanitation district, et cetera, needs to be purple piped to the east end of the city and used along the way for irrigation of parks and fields and medians. The remainder needs to be placed into the Santa Clara River at the east end, and it will replenish our aquifer. Should Newhall Ranch ever be built and use the Valencia Sanitation Facility, they would be allocated gray water only in proportion to the amount that they put in from their own project. And they would contribute to the water that's required to be placed into the Santa Clara River, also in proportion to the amount that they've put in. And the last one is, if this should ever have any fruition, there needs to be a supermajority of 80%, not 2/3, 80%. And that needs to be in perpetuity, not until the next election, not until somebody feels they want to change it, but a supermajority for budget and finance of 80%. And I agree with Maria, there would have to be a ratepayer advocate. Thank you.